Okay, so guys, I got a little pan here, and I have a really good product you can get. This is a polymer. You can buy it any hardware store. And I want to show you how to use this. Um, Keep an image on your painting without spraying your canvas, because I don't know if everybody knows that. So I just want to throw this in for you before we get started. I don't have to do the whole picture this way or painting. I just want to make sure you guys get this concept down. So I'm going to pour this acrylic into here. I got to, okay, so it's down there. Make sure you close that up within about an hour or so. You never know if it might harden over. Now I'm going to take my pencil. Wait a minute, let me take my pencil, and I'm going to sketch out. This is the painting I'm going to try to accomplish with all palette knife. Okay, so if I do it in 3 times, you guys okay with that? I just want to teach you the process. Don't worry. Maybe God has to help me. Anyhow, so before I get started, let me show you. You need to know this first. Okay, so I have some sandpaper here. I coated the 1 coat of gesso on here. Okay. And then I let it dry, and then I coated another coat of gesso. So then at that point, when you do that, you're kind of filling up the grooves in the canvas so you get a smooth surface. But what that will do is allow your palette knife painting to slide more and to move around better. Does that make sense? Instead of getting caught up on the grooves, okay? So then take your sandpaper. Wear a mask if you want to. I would. Just kind of sand it. And get it to be nice and smooth. That's old school stuff, you guys. They used to do this in the Renaissance all the time. I kind of go to the old school stuff. Now, if you were in the Renaissance, you probably would use something like clear oil and some kind of juniper resin to create this acrylic concept, and then you just let it dry naturally. So let me show you what I'm going to do. Using this picture, I'm just going to kind of sketch out. Now, I don't have to do this. I just want to show you this. I mean, I could go right to the palette knife. I thought I would just get some placement, though. So I'm just going to get this, the Arc de Triomphe. Just kind of get it in here. And while I'm doing this, I'm kind of measuring from the top to the bottom. How far is it from here to there? Okay. So then you can get this on here. I'm looking at the arch in here, just roughly. Everything is rough. You don't care. Just get it in like this. Don't worry about the people yet. Now, as I bring this down, I'm kind of measuring how far is it to the bottom. So I want a little more land down here. And by the way, this is more narrow, so I just have enough sky, and I can have a little, so my canvas is pretty good for this. Might be a little more squeezed in, it's just got to adapt to it all. So I'm going to come across like this, and then I'm going to look at this building over here, and I'm going to say, okay, it's going to have a little angle there, and it wedges right out to the outside, who knows? Go like that. Don't get into details. There's no point into it. And then a little bit down like that. Now I'm actually working off of some tectonic law, architectonic laws. All these laws are basically set down like this. You have a divisional line that shoves your distance over here. Then you have an atmospheric dome. So behind that Arc de Triomphe, there is atmosphere. Then you have what's from converging lines going up like this, and then you have
Tom, you've frozen.
So if I go like this, I already know it's going to go that way over here. What?
Tom?
16 by 20.
Tom?
Yeah.
You were frozen. Can you please repeat?
Okay. Okay, here's what it is. I'll try to hold it right there. Okay. So you have a divisional line that sets you off from the middle of the page. You have a horizon line. Then you have an atmospheric dome. That atmospheric dome is where everything is lighter behind that Arc de Triomphe. I was actually there. And converging lines come down like this, and your perspective comes down like this. So the people fall on the perspective. So once I see these in my head, these architectonic laws, it's not so hard to do. Did everybody understand that? If you don't know them, you should write it down right now. Or,
Tom, when you were talking about the last lines, you froze again. So the whole thing, at least I couldn't hear it. I don't know if anyone else could. Just, yes, about the lines going over the people, the convergent lines.
No, those are the perspective lines.
Oh, okay.
At the bottom is, because you're standing here, you're like this, and you're looking perspectively back. The converging lines are where they're up in the air and your eye can't see it. I call them vortex, but they are converging. So that creates a lot of depth. Did you get that?
Yes.
That's what really forces. Now, if you put this straight in the middle of the page, you lose that perspective. It's gone with the wind, because it's flat. So when you move stuff over to the left or the right, those laws really help you to make sense out of things. It creates the depth that you need. So I'll do it again. Horizon, divisional line, atmospheric dome, okay? And then we have converging lines coming down into that atmospheric dome. That's your vanishing point, because you don't know where it goes. It's just a mystery back there. Sorry, allergies. And anyhow, so converging line going down, and then your perspective comes out of that and drops right there. And that's how I see it. I see that in everything. Everybody get that now, Lori? You think?
Yes.
Oh, good. Now, like I said, I don't have to do this because that's already locked in my head. But if you're having trouble, and I thought the best thing for me to do is to show you how this works. So now I'm going to bring this out here, get where the buildings are. And I know the people, well, that line kind of throws you off right there, but the people are here down this way. I'll be doing them with a palette knife. Everything's a palette knife, you guys. And then let's just move on to the other part of the building. So I can see that it lands here. Here's a vertical line right here. I'll just drop that there. Another vertical line. And I have it's not that, it's a little lower than that. Okay, I'll drop this here.
Tom, we can't see the picture.
Sorry.
When you're doing it, maybe if the picture were on the left side. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So now I'm doing this. So, okay. So what? Oh, you need the picture, this. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right. So I'm looking at this and I can see that that's right about there. So I don't want that dome too much higher. So I'll just run a line across like that. And then I'll just kind of bring that dome up like this. See that? The top of that building. If mine's a little higher, it doesn't matter. I got a lot more sky. So now I'm just going to drop, watch this, guys. Can you see the picture now, Linda? Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and drop the converging lines down. And look, they're falling right into where I want them to go, all the way down behind the Arc de Triomphe. See that? If it's not perfect, don't worry, because we're going to paint it in good. Okay, then on this one over here, I can't get that, let's see. I'll just have to wing it, watch. Maybe I'll do it right there. Ready? I'm just gonna bring the building in vertically. That's fun, that's easy. Drop it down, drop it down. And now I have my basic concept, guys. Can you see that? Everything else is gonna be gravy at that point. Well, maybe. All right, now if you wanna get detailed while you're drawing this, you can do that. You can start mapping out things like, okay, there's the top of that. You have those started. You have, let's see, this is here. You can draw this down, bring it in. You can put another line there. You can go all detailed if you want, or you can just do it as you're painting it. And see, all this converges down. Everything converges into this atmospheric dome that's behind the building. Now, how do we preserve this? How do we keep this up there without using sprays and chemicals? or stuff that you don't want. So I'm going to show you. All you need to do, that looks a little odd up there. Let's see on the camera. That looks crooked, but it isn't here. I'll just bring it in a little. I'll give it a little lean to it and see if it looks better. Still looks crooked up there. Hold on. Now it looks straight here, but on the camera it looks, Lori, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I'm sitting here on the camera. This looks like it's leaning back. Where I'm sitting, it looks like I'm trying to lean it forward, and it's actually pretty straight. Okay, so I don't know what to tell you on that one.
Probably the way the camera's angled.
Probably the way the camera's angled. Now, you guys, you have that up there, and you want to preserve it. Okay, so you're going to ball up a paper towel. Okay, you don't have to spray anything in your studio anymore. I got two pictures. One over there, got all my Alexander paint, which is awesome. I'd use Alexander paint if I were you guys. Dip this in, ball it up, make a blobber, like not a blobber. What do you call it? Just put it on there. Ready? And just tap this on here. Tap it. Don't rub it. Just tap it. Follow your design. If it gets a little dirty, don't worry about it. You're not going to lose it. You actually, a gray is a good thing. If it looks a little gray. Now, if you do rub it somewhere where it's not, where there isn't any pencil. Just tap it on. Give it time to rest and dry, or use a blow dryer. Now, I usually change the see that? I usually go to another one. Paper towel. When that rain went away, my allergies kicked up like there's no tomorrow. All right, watch this, guys. Got some more. I'm just going to follow the design. And this is to give you some placement if you're not a person that's comfortable with just going straight to the palette knife and winging it. At least this will give you some, placement on here. Just make sure, look to the side to make sure that it's not dripping or like got a lot of bumps in it. If it does, let me show you. If it does, just take a dry paper towel or turn this over and blop it again. Blop it?
Blot it.
Blog it. Oh, I don't even know what to say. Thanks, guys. Pick up your own words like I do. So get it in there, sort of. Do you see that? So that preserved it, and you're not going to have clean lines anyhow, unless you can do this very strategically and go to each line and make it nice and preserved. But you're going to paint over that and move it around anyhow. Now, did everybody like that? Don't spray anymore. You don't have to spray that stuff you keep buying.
Tom, are there any fumes or anything toxic in that can of stuff you just used?
Well, there's labels on there that, no, it's not, it's compared to that. No, I'm not breathing anything. So now I've got enough white out. I put that out earlier, my magic white. I might put a little bit more out over here. Now, when you're working in palette knife, trust me, you guys, it just takes a little bit of skill to do this. I kind of learned this when I went to France. I stood there at Montmartre and I watched these guys paint for hours and hours. I didn't even want to leave there. So that's where the artists gather and paint all their palette knife paintings, and they do a lot of art there at Montmartre. So I watched and I learned. I asked questions. They're very open to all my questions. I came home, and that's the first time I really tackled a complete palette knife painting. I mean, just complete, because I saw everything I needed to. I'm going to go for the sky. I could blow dry this and get it dry, but I don't know if I'll get into it as much that way. Here we go. Yellow. Alexander yellow. All right. That's just straight from the tube. Alizarin crimson. And I made sure not to put too much. I just put the white out earlier. That's not a big deal. Alizarin crimson. I'm going to use, what? I'm going to use phthalo green just because I want a certain flavor to the painting. Phthalo green always goes next to alizarin crimson, and then sap green, then brown, then blue, and then black. There's an order to this. because it's called an intrinsic palette that Michelangelo used on the Sistine Chapel, light to darks. And there's a formula to this per number. And now I'm going for, where's my phthalo blue, Linda? Can you grab one out of there? I need the blue. I'm going to put the violet down, way down here. I'll get the blue in a second. Apparently I didn't get it out. I don't use much blue. So strong. So the violet. Okay, so I dropped the cap down. Okay, so.
Hey, Tom?
Yes, ma'am.
While you're, can you talk a little bit about the magic white and explain maybe to some of the people that are on here that used to use our old magic white, the difference, and then also I'd like people to notice that magic white now comes in a pump, if you have an airless pump, if you haven't seen that, because our magic white is now more like fresh bread. We've taken the preservatives and everything out of it, and so it we sell it in a container like that. And so Tom, I just thought since you were an integral part of formulating this, if you could maybe talk a little bit about that.
Right. Well, the first thing we had to do was get rid of all the yellow and everything. So we came up with
Tom, something's going on with your mic, Tom.
Somebody hacking this thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see that.
I don't know what's happening.
Either.
We're having a hard time hearing you. So go ahead and start again.
Could be a lot of people on here. You never know.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So what we did was we cleaned up the oil. We have our formula that we cleaned it up and gave it a good dryer. So it's a dryer that wouldn't turn yellow or anything. So that's your magic clear. Then we just took that, added it to our white. And so now we have a good, clean, beautiful white that comes out of the pump. And the pump doesn't allow it to dry inside. So you're really getting your money's worth when you buy it this way now. It's not in a can or anything, so you just pump it out. Now what I do with this is I shake this up really well before I use it. And sometimes I have to kind of get this to move a little bit to the air, to the little bit of tiny air that's in there as out, and then I just start pumping it. It's great. That makes sense, Lori? Did I get it?
Yeah, yeah. The only other thing I would add, maybe you said it, I don't know, is that our old formula had a lot of thinner in it.
Oh yeah.
And that was the first thing too that we did, is to remove the thinner and anything that would be detrimental to the painting and also to our health. So just wanted to let people know that the magic white, we reformulated it a few years ago. If you haven't tried it for several years, it's an entirely different product now, and you can paint right in your kitchen. There's no thinner, no smells. It's just a really good way to paint now. Go ahead, Tom. I just wanted to put that in there.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Now, speaking of that, my wife is taking pictures of this right now so you guys can see the stages. So we're having a conversation while you are, Lori. Sorry.
Okay.
Here we go. So now all I want to do now, that was great. Everybody can know that, seeing it has a little lavender to it. That's nice. Lavenders have been used forever in Renaissance work. Okay, palette knife. So you move your finger up, you move it down, you turn it this way, you turn it that way. There's got to be a lot of manipulation going on here. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm not even going to worry about taking this white off. And remember when I mixed it here a little bit? Because I'm going to need it. Let's take some yellow, drop it down here. Take some red, drop it down here. I'm going to take a little bit. That was a little bit of phthalo green. Now that's going to look kind of grayish if we keep adding more red and more. I'll add more red to show how gray that gets. So basically, when you're starting off your painting, what happens is you're in an area, whatever you start with is going to dictate the outcome of your painting. So if you start with a lot of oranges and orange colors or violets or anything, that's the beginning of your painting. So let's see what that looks like if I add a little white to it. Just check it out. It has a warm kind of grayish violet to it. Now I want to cool that down. And that's going to be a good idea to do that, because if I cool that color down, it'll push it further in the distance. Okay, you notice I don't have ochre out. I don't have sap green out. I try to avoid all this stuff to the end because that looks better in a painting towards the end of in the foreground. I got a little burnt umber in there that warmed it a bit, but I'm going to add some phthalo blue to it now. Now remember, your phthalo blue is super strong, which is great. That means the pigment is great. That means the pigment is really, really good. Okay, I'm cooling it. I cooled it a lot, actually. And as I'm mixing, I'm planning in my head a little more white now because I'm going in the distance. A little more white. A little bit more white. All right, I'm cooled down, but I want just a little more brown in it. Burnt umber, a little bit more. I want to warm it up, but without all that red in there. That'll turn it more violet with all that alizarin. A little bit more. That's graying it just about where I want it. It has kind of a nice gray overtone. All right. Now, if your canvas is smooth, let me move this up. If your canvas is smooth, you're going to be able to slide this paint well. If it's not smooth, you're not going to be able to do this very well. Because what you're doing is you're digging into, you see how I'm moving across the surface really fast? That's key. That's number one. Now, I'm not going to grab more paint. I'm just going to grab more white to lighten it as I paint. Because I don't know what's going to happen. Every painting I do in a palette knife turns out different. I have no clue at this point. And it's fun to joke around a little bit while you're painting. Isn't this supposed to be relaxing? Not so serious and uptight? Let's go up here now, guys. I got my white. I didn't even put it in the gray. We're supposed to be having fun with this, not all uptight and everything, guys. So I'm putting the white in, sliding it around. Getting that sky in is a big deal. Now, scrape the paint once in a while, move that around. Pick it up and move it. See? See how fun that is? Look, guys. Now you have to build on layers. So I'm trying to get this layer to be down deep because all painting is about dark and light. Dark and light. Grabbing a little more white, just white, you guys. I'll show you. Get the paint up there. A lot of times when I do this, sometimes I add a little more violet. It just depends on what you're trying to achieve. You can change the colors in a heartbeat. It doesn't matter. Now you guys know this, and I've said it 100 times or 1,000,000 times. You got to put light in here somewhere. That's coming later. Let the paint settle down a little bit. So, I'm just going across the sky, having fun. Having fun is what I've always lived for. I've never had a situation where I'm trying to be too serious about everything, because that gets you really in trouble with being too stressed out. Heart attack stuff. I don't want that. All right, guys, that was fun, huh? So now pick up more white. I'm just grabbing more white because I want to achieve more light in here. And I'm not even grabbing more color. I'm using what's up here. Now, my temptation is to just go for it, just kind of grab a little more brown or violet. That's all running through my head. But I want to make it so it's understandable. So I'm surrounding this right now. I do want this color back here between behind the arch. The Arc de Triomphe. I had to go there because I had to go to the Louvre. That was the big deal. Had to go to the Louvre. So, you know, you go to Paris, you got to go everywhere. So you're going to have your own style, you guys. No one's going to do this the same. All right, that was kind of fun. Now, whatever's in the sky is going to be in the ground. Doesn't matter what it is. Isn't that a pretty color? I decided to change the color on my own. Now I'm going to add a little more brown to this, just a little bit. Let me see. That's my base color. That was yellow, red, phthalo green, blue, brown, and I haven't got any violet in there yet. I might add it. Depends on how it looks. I don't know. A little more brown. And I'm doing this psychologically because brown is in the foreground. That's the way it works, guys. Brown is in the foreground. I'm adding a little bit more. It's not a ton. Probably about, for Linda, who's watching, I would say probably about a half a cap full of the cap of the Alexander tube. Now this is a lot less off the color, but from the sky, and I'll put some of this up in the skies because it's kind of dirty. That looks good. So we're going down here. So it's a different color range, and I'll make sure to put some of that up here just because that's the way it works. You want to make sure you're spreading that color you have everywhere. All right. So Alexander knife is working for me, putting it all over the place, getting the tones down. Maybe I did do a good idea drawing that out. I've actually done this without drawing it out and nailed it every time. But you know, I think it'd be hard for people just to grab the knife and go for it. So now if this isn't moving for you, all you need to do is grab white, put it up there, and just spread it. So you didn't put any magic white on the canvas. You're putting white on as you paint. All right. More white. Bring it out here. So I like to tackle the top and the bottom if it's dark. If you guys could see that up close, that has a lot of nice little modeling effects in there. It's really great. I like that. Put some light over here. It's going to be lighter in the back anyhow. Don't care. And if this takes 3 classes, will that be okay, Lori? Lori?
Yes, you can take as many classes as you want, Tom.
Oh, I think maybe because of the detail and stuff, I might be able to get 3 classes out of this. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Whatever you want to do.
Okay. I know. I just want to bring this to people and have fun with it. See what happens. Okay.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Okay. Now more white. Add the white as you go to spread the paint until we get to the darks. Now, do you have to have a little muscle to do this? Yes. So I say go to the gym when you get a chance. When everything gets back to normal, go to the gym, build up your muscles because I'm pretty strong, and you gotta do this stuff a lot. You gotta have that muscle strength. All right. Now that's looking pretty well situated. So instead of overworking it, I'm going to go into dark now. I want to build this up before we get out of here today and leave you guys with something to think about. All right, so now I need to go dark. So this is this is not my light, by the way. This is my mapping color. It's not my light. It's what I call my map color to get a basic range of tone. Now I want to get dark. Yellow, alizarin, phthalo green, brown, blue. I'll drop it down here, and I'm going really dark now. I know it looks green, don't worry about it. Everything turns green at first. And that would work in Bill Alexander's painting. Do a nice forest scene with that. Okay, Another little trick I want to tell you guys is if you take some burnt umber and drop it down to the bottom of your container and stir it up in there, you'll get a super dryer with the burnt umber. It'll help it a lot. So it'll actually make it super dry. I'm adding a little oil to this to thin it. Now I need thin paint to do these buildings. So what I'm going to do now, and I'm wiping off the knife, I'm going to grab more red, override that green look, more lizard I mean, override the green look, and it's almost looking black. But I know it's not real black if I don't add a little more blue. Because if something turns brown, just add blue and you'll get black. How's that sound? Is that a good message? All right, here we go. Attack mode. This paint is thinner than the sky color because I didn't have oil in it and I didn't make it thin. So I'm going to come up here. And don't worry, what you see, I've got a little bit of a brown tone in there. That's a good thing because I'm going to be putting light on it later. Now, look this is where you have to be very manipulative. You have to be able to change your hand, kind of move things around. If you see a little nuance in there, something that goes like this, create it, then bring it up and come back and refine it later. Just kind of paint like you don't care. And draw a little bit. Now see, what you're really doing here is you're kind of drawing with your palette knife. So you have that color on there. I'm grabbing a little more. Same stuff, guys. Okay. Now I'm being a little bit slow at this. Actually, sometimes I go so fast and I fix everything as I'm going. I'm grabbing the same stuff in case you're not aware of that. Here you go. How am I lifting it up now? Okay, if you lay this flat, just scoop it up like that. Just pull towards you. Pull it right towards you. Get up here. Now, like I said, you can see that right here, there's some of the canvas grabbing it. So I could have put another layer of gesso on here, maybe 3 layers. And what that would have done was made the paint move a little quicker. In other words, it'd be sliding a lot. That would be a good thing. See? Now I'm going to draw this out, kind of get my circle started. Just kind of bend the paint. Now, as I'm doing this, watch this, guys. I'm actually kind of lifting the paint off a little bit. That needs to be a little broader. Decided I'd put that arch in there just to get established in the painting. Now, this might seem like a lot of work, and it is, but that's just how it goes. All right, I'm going to leave that for now. That's kind of the basic concept. There'll be refinement later. Okay, now, there's some buildings behind that Arc de Triomphe, and they're a little bit grayer. So let me take this right here. Let me go down to here. I'm going to add a little bit of that dark. Right here, because it's all synergenic. They come together. See, look, you got dark and you got medium to work with. So that would be these buildings in a grayer color. Borrowing this color is what I did. So we're going to have a little more and let that fall right down in here in the distance. And there's something going on over there. Didn't even see that before. I'll grab some of this and see if that works. Who knows? Don't worry about it. Uh-oh, that looked kind of good, didn't it? See, And blend the bottom of whatever you do. Just blend it out. Blend it out. See that? Now, just for your sanity, just because I don't want to end today with you guys looking at this is insane, but we want to add a little dimension to it. I just want to do this now. It's a gut feeling. So I've got dark, medium, and I need light. You know one thing, light is always a matter of reds and yellows. And then you want to knock down that color with a little touch of that mid-tone, because you can't have it exactly the same. Now I have the tone that I want on top of these colors. I started with that. I have the dark, all synergenic, and then I have this now. And it works out because it's actually part of all these colors. All right, let's go up. Did everybody get that? That was kind of fun, huh? So to do this, I'm going to kind of brace my hand a little bit. And I'm going to kind of walk this across the top. Put a little bit up there. It is a little bit bent there, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to take a little more white into that color. So there's a lot of weird angles up here that you can't see, but I can see in the picture. There's another little part across here. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is not the final touches of light. All this is just getting established. Okay? This is not your final touch of light. I'll say it again. It's not your final touch. Okay, I'm going to put a little more gray into this, down into the lighter color, and kind of knock down the light a little bit, because I can go back and forth. All this is like, I can do this, I can add more, I can do a lot of things into this color, guys. So I'm going to look at this and I'm going to have to move this down a little bit. Let's see, we got that up here, maybe a little higher actually. I'm going to basically let this fall in here for a second, okay? And I know this is going to come down to here, so it's going to be lower. I'm pushing that up. Push the paint around. You're like a sculptor, you know, like Michelangelo with the paint. You want to push the paint around. You're the boss of the paint. You have the power to push all these colors around. Okay, grabbing more light. You'll see, it'll work. More light, more white. Same muddy color. Believe it or not, because it's far away, it is kind of muddy. Raise your hand, hold down. Don't lose all that dark in there. Preserve some of your design, your darks. I'm going to go across like this. I'm going to get that arch in there if it kills me. Look, see that? If you mess it up, you come in with more light and sculpt it out. All right, now what I'm thinking while I'm doing this, I'm actually thinking about what's coming in design later inside of this. Turn your knife this way if you have to. Sometimes things just have to happen. All right, leave that. Now, can you see how this is starting to form something? Now watch this, guys. Using just the round part of the knife, I'm going to grab dark, scrape it up, and you're going to come in and you're going to draw down. If you remove the paint while you're doing it, don't panic. Even draw little nuances like that. With thinner paint, you can draw a lot of things. Little nuances like that. You have to have thinner paint to do it. I'm grabbing more dark, with just the tip of it. Now I can come back later and put more dark in there. It will receive it better. I'm going to put a little dark under there. You'll see you got to build up on this stuff. Okay, keep paper towels around, guys. You're going to love this. You're going to need a lot of paper towels. Okay, so now I'm going to take more dark. So I got a lot of work ahead of me. I'm kind of locating where this is on the painting. Looks like a good spot. More dark, same stuff, guys. And I'm going to get a little bit of dark under here. And a lot more over here. I'm also going to go, now watch this. I'm going to go under here. Turn my knife. I might ruin something, but don't worry, you can clean it up. Turn the knife, draw a little, and come down. This is where you're going to have to be a good drawer. Not expert drawer, but kind of good drawer. And I'm going to go in here and mess this up a little bit. Because this is almost in an impressionistic concept, if you think about it. I'm even going to put a little bit in the sky, just for action. A little bit back here. Now I want to do this, I'm going to leave that alone. Sometimes it's a good idea not to do too much on this painting here, because as it sits, here's what happens. This gets a little tackier and you get better control. So veer off from this a little bit, come back so you can actually do more detail. I rushed right into it. I mean, I could stay there for a while. But the longer this sits, the easier it gets, okay? So I want to build up some more features over here. So let's go to this side, and I'll work this side and start working the converging lines out, and then I'll get back to this and make more detail. You'll see, it'll work out. I want to blend this out, though. That's just my job. Okay, got that going. I got the basic start of it. Now, back to this color, the sky color, with a little bit of the dark in it. That's going to make the building. Now, how do you remember these colors? That is the thing you got to try to remember. Write it down like Linda's doing. So I'm going to follow the converging line that I made. And without all this around here, everything starts to look crazy. And we have some little things up there that just kind of, it's already looking good, huh? All right. So when you start, here's the funny thing about art, you guys. When you start building things up, everything else makes everything else look better. So like if I just stay here, it's ugly, ugly, ugly. But as you start putting things around other things, it just starts looking better and better all the time. Now this end part's just going to get famato. So I kind of went at an angle like this. I'll cut that down a little bit. Now I'm going to come in with a different tone. Wiping the knife. That's just to get it up there for you guys. I'm going to add more brown to this because the buildings are a little warmer. That's into my mid color. I need to put more brown out. Aha, probably. So let's see. Good thing I got it. Huh, Lori?
Yep.
Good thing I got my Alexander paint, or I would be in trouble. And if you got other paint that's kind of weak in color, it might be hard to get a lot of this stuff up here more easily. That's what I'm saying. A little bit of white in that color, just a little bit for mobility, because I don't need it as thin as the dark over here. Look, it's more muddy like, look. See that? And it's marbleized. I haven't been able to teach this kind of stuff in a while. Just because it's hard for people to do, but I thought everybody would want to know. So I have white, I have my base color there. I'm putting my building tone down. Bring that in. Sometimes, and this is a fact, you guys, sometimes it's better to go in the direction that you see things. Like if the building's going down this way, drop it that way. And then sometimes it isn't. Like on the corner here, I'm going to let that just fumato out of the edge. Look, I don't really care. It's actually blurred in the picture a little bit. But just let things drop down. That's a good plan for you. See? And then this kind of goes down in that angle. Now you can start to see the undertones of the painting now. What's going to happen? I'm getting a little bit more of the same color. These are all undertones, like as if you were doing Bill Alexander's mountains. It's the same concept. These are undertones. You have to get these down so that you can get down all the rest of it. So push it down, push it down. Now the thing is, just be busy with everything you're doing. Don't work too hard at it. Just kind of get the basic ideas down. So, you know, I'm creating all that depth in there just because I'm trying to do. Now, when I get over here, we're going to start. Now, that's just your basic tones. Okay. Tomorrow, we'll be adding more stuff. It's tomorrow, right? Anybody? Anybody?
Yes, correct.
Okay, it's tomorrow. Okay. You're running out of paint. That's going to happen. So you have to know how to start over. Yellow, red, alizarin, phthalo green, brown, blue, little bit, very little. Get into it. And then if you remember, if it looks green, which it does, add more red. That'll turn it brown, then more blue, because that'll turn it gray. Add more red. What am I doing? Add more red. That'll get it brown, kind of a chocolatey brown. Then add more blue. And it should take you into that kind of sky color again. If it doesn't, add more red. So this paint's thicker than that paint. This is very thin, and that's a little bit thicker than this when I had it, but I don't have it now. So I have to keep learning how to make the color. If you want to make a big batch of it all at once, that might be a smart thing to do. Okay, a little more red actually. Doesn't look brown enough. All right. So you notice I just don't go straight to one color. I try to get all the whole kitchen sink in there. All right, now I'm wiping the knife and I'm going to check this off to the side. Okay, it has a little more greenish color in it, so I need more blue. I'll just put it right in the big dollop. I need to cool it down a lot. And like if you're out there painting this on the street in France, nobody's going to be saying, hey, you better do this fast. You know, they're not. Most of those guys take that stuff home, they bring it back, they sit down again. One guy told me he was working on it for 3 months. I'm not kidding. That was a beautiful palette knife painting, but he said he'd been on it for 3 months, all palette knife. Crazy, but that's cool. That's what you do. All right, I'm pretty much in a range now. I just need more. Boy, I'm sucking up the brown today. I'm getting more brown now. Actually, a good thing, because the brown's going to be, hang in there. Hang in there. Hang in there, guys. I want to get this up there. I'm forcing myself to paint faster than my wife can make me. All right, white. Still need more brown. I got a lot of blue. Do you see what happened with the blue? Wow. All right, that's about it. Yeah, the blue is a lot. Be careful with the blue, you guys. Trust me on this. It's good. It's just a lot. It's a lot of pigment. That's kind of what I wanted, because this does turn a little greenish over here too. And there's a tone of green all throughout the painting. It's just very subtle. You know why that is? Because complementary colors are what's happening here. If you have reds, you're going to have greens. I grabbed a little bit of white. Pull this down.
Tom, can you talk a little bit about why you mix your colors? Why you mix everything from yellow, red, and blue rather than just going to a tube that you may find of that color?
Because the tube is only a general base color. It doesn't have every element in it. And when you spread that color out, it doesn't create these nuances of shades of color. Even when it dries, it's flat and dead. So you have to have, your mixing is a big part of the color wheel. More white, you guys, in there. Did that explain it, Lori?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. All right, I'm going to put more red in this color and more brown as I go. I'm actually going to put it up here and see what happens. Let's try that. Let's get that warm color in there. Who cares? That was a quick move, huh? Quicker than lightning. And I don't care. I just need the color in there. All right. Hang in there. Watch me now. These are this is things that happen in the painting. What? They're antennas. They're also old architecture that we don't have nowadays. You know, if you've ever gone to France, you can see a lot of these. I don't even know what they are, like chimneys with antennas on them and all kinds of things. There's just different architecture, old stuff, old school. So we don't have a lot of that now. So this has a, you know, purpose and a reason. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to grab yellow and red, put it down here. Yellow and red. So I got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm happy. And I put a little bit of that dirt in there. Well, maybe some of the black too. All right. Now I'm getting in a roll. Actually, when I don't mix well, I'm doing really well. You see, it's possible, you guys. I don't know if you notice this, but I'm actually doing the painting. It doesn't look real good right now, but I'm getting the structure down. I'm getting down the basic stuff that needs to be in here before I put more light on it. Tomorrow will be an easier day doing this. Why would that be? And then the third day, because the paint's tackier and paint doesn't move that well when it sits there for a while. The art of triumph. We will triumph, you guys, over everything. One last thing, and then you guys will see that this is totally possible. I'm just going to put this in because I feel like it, filling up the gaps. And then I'm going to shove this all over here real quickly. And you're going to see tomorrow's going to make a better day for this. Picking up all this paint down here. And I got to get into details, so that means I'm going to have to manipulate this stuff a little bit better. Look at those apples. I think, let me show you what I'm doing here. Let's just do this. Watch, guys, to end the day off. You probably would never do this. Look, I grabbed everything on the palette. Okay, Happy New Year. Here we go. Anyone who's been painting for a while knows that this is a good thing. Now remember, I'm just working like a little jackrabbit here. I'm moving stuff around. I'm getting paint on there. Look. This really should cut off right about here. Some people I saw in France would take their paper towel and rub it. So if you do an all palette knife though, maybe I shouldn't do that. Because that's what I said, right? Because it would be palette knife and what, Linda? What, Myrtle? Palette knife and paper towel. It'd be a whole different concept. Alrighty, so that was fun. Couple of little last things so you guys don't go insane. Put it down here, brown, grab the little brown into this dark area. All right. That'll keep you from going nuts. It's going to be here. So that's going to be here. Divide things up. Put a little window in. Kind of looks good when you get a window in a blob, a box. Get another window in. Get a little space there. Kind of make sure these lined up a little bit. Just the idea. Don't get all carried away yet. Put this across here. You see what happens at the end of the painting? Now this is where I'm on a roll. I could keep going for hours. Hours, you guys. This thing would be so beautiful, you wouldn't even have a clue. All right. Now I'm going to do one last thing, get this done. I want to blend this out because it's very fumato down here. So basically right now I'm coming up with a pretty good basic concept of the painting without a brush. I want to make sure everything's going my way, and because it's that or the highway, right? Other colors will be added. What do you think of that today? As a rough design.
It's great, Tom.
It's a rough design. I'm going to put a windows in here. I'm going to put more light on. I'm going to put things up here. And when I start adding all the nuances, you know, and then the people, then the lamp coming up here, I have no fear of that. I got a little blue reflective windows down here. It's going to be fun, you guys. And it's going to be easier when I refine it because it's getting tackier. So the paint's more sticky. And that's when you can lay light on stuff better. I'm going to stand up, look at it from a distance. On the camera, it looks really crooked. But here, I've got things lined up pretty straight. Did you guys like the way I put the acrylic on here to help preserve the design? Maybe that was clever of me today.
I really like that. Thank you, Tom. That's a great idea.
I did too. I love the way you mix those colors. Love the colors.
Oh, I changed the colors a little bit for my own taste. I wanted to liven it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So everybody,
it really needs a lot more attention to it. But when I finally get the stuff in that's supposed to be there, then it's all going to come together, you know?
Yes.
If you email Dawn, D-A-W-N @alexanderart.com, she will send you the sketch that Linda Anderson, Tom's wife, took a photo at when he got to the sketch part, and we can send that on to you. If you email her, just let her know that you'd like the sketch from Tom's class today, and she'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
it.